my thoughts on the trade, I like it for the Red Sox. However, I'm a little bit pessimistic as to how this trade could possibly go. Obviously, getting a guy like Garrett Crochet, it's amazing. Like, Garrett Crochet had an amazing season in his first season where he actually was a starter, which one thing is interesting though, there hasn't been a lot of MLB players that never played in the minor leagues and just went up to the major leagues after being drafted. Garrett Crochet is one of those rare players that have done that. Despite being a reliever all but last year, the White Sox trusted this dude being their first starter. I remember his first start of last season, pitching an amazing game against the Detroit Tigers. He pitched his ass off, especially at the beginning of the season. Crochet went off, and then I wouldn't say he fell off because that's not necessarily what he did. And also it didn't help because he didn't get any support from the White Sox defense. I mean, he had a 4.41 WAR, 3.58 ERA, which honestly, considering it's with the White Sox, that is not bad whatsoever. Like, that's fine. His FIP was a 2.69, which honestly, yeah, that's great. It just goes to show that the White Sox defense absolutely sucked. His WHIP was a 1.068. If this dude wasn't playing on the White Sox, he would be a Cy Young contender. And at the latter half of the season, Garrett Crochet wanted to keep his arm healthy. He didn't want to pitch for a White Sox team that sucked and, you know, waste his arm for nothing pretty much. Honestly, that's a great move for the Whites, or great move for Crochet. Smart decision because, I mean, again, he was going to play meaningless baseball at that point. Yeah, I just think this is a great trade back for the White Sox, getting the 3 prospects that they got for a guy that they don't need anymore. Simply put, just getting a guy like Garrett Crochet in that rotation is much needed. Obviously, the Red Sox rotation, they were good last year for the most part. At one point at the beginning of the season, they literally led MLB in ERA. They obviously were gonna cool down eventually, and by August time, almost every single starter, or honestly every single starter in that rotation, maxed out their arms, pitched the most innings they've had in their careers, and they ended up getting shelled. So as much as this rotation is promising, they need to get a guy like Garrett Crochet. Also, because the Red Sox last year, their entire rotation was full of right-handed pitchers. So getting a guy like Crochet is much needed in this rotation. However, I am a little pessimistic as to how Garrett Crochet can play for the Red Sox. Obviously, Crochet has played 1 year as a starter, which in my opinion is a little bit shaky, especially considering he's dealt with arm issues in the past. I mean, with a guy like Garrett Crochet, who throws a million miles per hour, has a little bit of a funky release, with the arm history that he has, I believe I think he had Tommy John surgery in the past. To me, I'm just a little concerned with acquiring a guy like that and feeling that he can have that same situation happen again, or just in general, you know, not have as great of a season after having a great first season as a starter. I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to, you know, sip on the Kool-Aid as much, because I can really see this trade blow up in the Red Sox faces, in my opinion. That's just how every trade is, but I don't think he's this for sure thing yet, despite what he's done last year. For me, at least, if the Red Sox were to go out and get an ace, I wish that the ace that the Red Sox would go out and get, which they still can do, can pitch a bunch of innings and can just be a complete innings eater for the Red Sox. And I can't look at anyone on this rotation and think that they are able to do that. So I just feel like despite getting a guy like Crochet, I think that this rotation still has a lot to work on. But the good thing about this Crochet trade too is that we are not paying Crochet any money at all. I mean, we have team control of Crochet for the 2025 season and also the 2026 season. So we have some team control before we actually have to pay him the big bucks. So that's a great thing, and that can also mean that we can still spend right now. They're still able to make some signings still, which is great for them. But just overall, kind of just recapping everything that I've talked about, I like the move for the Red Sox. I think this is a good move. However, there's definitely a lot of things to be concerned of. For example, the arm, or I guess the arm injury past. You know, there's just a few things that I'm concerned with for Crochet that can lead this trade to not turn out well. But regardless, this is a trade that the Red Sox definitely need to do. And I think that Crochet can succeed in a Boston uniform. As for what the White Sox received in the trade, They received Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery. Jesus Christ, how did I get Braden Gonzalez? I was thinking of Winkleman Gonzalez. And then Chase Madroth. I'm definitely butchering that last name, but those are the 4 prospects that the White Sox received. The main 2 pieces that they got were Braden Montgomery and Kyle Teal, both, I believe, top 7 prospects for Boston. Also, Winkleman Gonzalez is also pretty good as well. He was an international free agent. He's a pitcher. Don't really know too much about him, but he could end up becoming a good bullpen arm for them later on once he actually makes the majors, if he actually does. I mean, this is a great aspect for the White Sox. Getting a guy like Kyle Teal, who I think is going to be a great catcher once he actually ends up with coming into the major leagues. Honestly, he could end up becoming major league catcher by next year. Maybe there's a chance that Kyle Teal could play a position other than catcher. Maybe he can end up playing in the outfield, which I think he did do in Virginia. So that could end up being a possibility. And honestly, I'm here for it. Whatever gets you to the major leagues, whatever gets you, as long as you're able to play defense somewhere with the bat that Kyle Teal has, honestly, that's all you need. Kyle Teal provides that. He's a switch hitter. In AA, or I guess in AAA last year, he played 28 games. He had a 717 OPS in those times. I think he was dealing with an injury at the end, so that cut off his season. But in AA, he played well. OPS of 852, batting average of 299, 97 hits, 20 doubles, 11 home runs. Like, the guy has shown potential as a hitter. He's the number 25 prospect, so that's a great return for the White Sox, along with Braden Montgomery, who I'm very high on. For the players in the first round that were drafted, I was really high on Braden Montgomery. I thought he was at least a top 5 prospect in the draft. I think he slid a little bit because he had injury concerns and things like that. But Braden Montgomery he's got to be a stud in the outfield. He's a hell of an athlete. He started out as a 2-way player. He was both a pitcher and a hitter. So he tried out the Shohei situation early on. He was a 2-way player at Stanford, and then he fully converted to an outfielder once he transferred to Texas A&M. And honestly, I want to look up his stats real quick. He hasn't played. So one thing too is that he was dealing with, I believe, a knee injury, so he hasn't had any minor league stats yet, as far as I believe. Yeah, with Texas A&M last year, in 236 at bats, 76 hits, 27 home runs, 85 RBIs, batting average of 322, OPS of over 1,000. Like, the dude had an insane season for Texas A&M last year. And honestly, if it weren't for the knee injury, then I would completely believe that he would be a top 5 pick in this draft. So, I mean, I think also Kyle Teal fell in the draft for the Red Sox too. I think he was mocked pretty high up there, but then he ended up falling. So, honestly, getting 2 guys that honestly kind of were luxury. Honestly, all the first round picks recently for the Red Sox have been luxury picks, like Marcelo Meyer. I don't know why he slid to 4, but he was the projected number 1 pick when we drafted him. And then, yeah, similarly to Kyle Teal and Braden Montgomery, those 2 guys sliding down to where they did. It's just great to see. So yeah, but regardless, the Red Sox farm system has exploded over the past year. I mean, we're seeing guys like Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell, guys that right now they're projected to be studs in the MLB. But last year, I mean, especially with Christian Campbell came out of nowhere. This dude was not a top 100 prospect. Like, I think he was like not even huge. Like, I think he started out in single A, and then he moved up to double A, killed it, and now he's in triple A. For people that follow the Red Sox, there was a big 3 to start off with. Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Meyer. And Christian Campbell all of a sudden just barged in and made it a top 4. So it really goes to show how talented Christian Campbell can possibly be. And now it's a top 3 now because Kyle Teal is out of the equation, which it really goes to show how valuable the Red Sox organization believes in Christian Campbell. And yeah, Roman Anthony, wow. I'm surprised that this dude is considered to be the top or the best prospect in all of baseball right now. He's just exploded over this past year too. He's just a freak of nature, 6'3", just, yeah, he's going to be a beast once he ends up becoming a Boston Red Sox. And then Marcelo Meyer, I know he's dealing with injuries, and a lot of people are doubting him, but he's going to be the shortstop of the future for the Red Sox. Like, the fact that people are doubting on this dude and saying that he doesn't have the heart, or even just saying that he's not the player that people are saying, is just far from true. I believe that since he got drafted, he's gotten comparisons to Corey Seager, and I so see it with that swing and everything like that. I can't see a world in which this dude isn't going to be a great player. Obviously, it's hard to project these things. I mean, at the end of the day, prospects, in my opinion, are lottery tickets. Once you get into the top 100 players, it's more likely that these guys are going to become some sort of player. It's funny because 7 years ago, especially with this trade, it seems like deja vu, because Chris Sale was a ace for the White Sox, who ended up getting traded for the Red Sox for two top prospects, that being Juan Moncada and Michael Kopech. Juan Moncada was the number one prospect in baseball during that time, and Michael Kopech was also considered to be a stud. And I'm not trying to diss on Moncada, because he's had a good MLB career, but he hasn't lived up to the top prospect hype. Kopech is also, I guess, not lived up to the hype either, but he's been an effective bullpen piece for the White Sox and also the Dodgers, who now he has a ring, so congratulations to him. And I know also when he was coming up in the White Sox system, he was dealing with cancer, so shout out to him for really recovering from that and just doing well. So these trades, especially when you're dealing with prospects, you never really know what you're going to get. So it's all just speculations. It's all just, we don't know until these guys actually end up becoming major league players. So it's all just speculations. But regardless, as a White Sox fan, you should be happy getting guys like Kyle Teal and Brandon Montgomery for a guy that has no interest in, I wouldn't say no interest in being in your team, but there's no plans of a guy like Crochet being a part of your future. So it's great to trade this guy now when his trade interest is as high as it will ever be, in my opinion. I think this is a great win-win trade for the team. I think this trade could possibly not work out, but I think this is a trade that both sides need to make, and I'm happy. I'm just happy for the Red Sox. I love Garrett Crochet. He's such a fun player. Even when he was coming out of the draft in 2020 out of Tennessee, I was really excited for this guy. Like it's crazy, because it's so funny to me, because we're trading for a hard-throwing, a little bit funky release, left-handed pitcher that was also compared to Chris Sale. So I'm happy. I'm just glad that the Red Sox are actually showing signs that they want to contend. And they still have money to spend, so I really want them to spend that money.